Hello and welcome to NFL Week 6 of Survivor Pool AI, Artificial Intelligence, where we have created 3 artificial intelligence agents from 3 artificial intelligence models, ChatGPT, Gemini, and Grok. And those agents have each week entered a team into an NFL Survivor Pool. My name is Kip Skavinsky, and I'm assisted here by or with Eric Tedisco, who is helping out with some technical aspects of YouTube and social media. First of all, before I forget, please like and subscribe to this video. It'll help a whole lot, as you probably are aware. We are actually in 2 pools. One, I'll call it a local pool, where it started out with 134 participants, and one national pool, which I believe started out with about 47,000 participants. So having said that, week 5 was a disaster for our models. All 3 agents are now out of the larger pool. Chat and Gemini had previously been eliminated from that pool. That pool has 1 loss and you're out. And Grok this last week picked the Eagles in week 5, and of course they lost. In the smaller pool, which is a 2-loss pool, you can have 1 loss and you're still in. On your second loss, you're out. Chat picked the Eagles and were eliminated, and Grok picked the Cardinals and were eliminated. Gemini picked the Lions and are still active in that pool with no losses. So overview after week 5. In the large pool, as I mentioned, started with 47,000 participants, and it's now down to about 9,100. So that means that after week 5, 81% have been eliminated. In the smaller pool, started out with 134 participants, and it currently has 39 with no losses, or 29%. So there's actually a higher percent remaining in the smaller pool that have no losses versus the 19% remaining in the larger pool with no losses. In a smaller pool, there are also 62 players with 1 loss. So I guess at this point, as we started out, and if refer you back to our episode 1, where we laid out the premise or foundation for these videos, where we were having the 3 agents compete with each other to see which one performed the best. I think it's time to declare a winner, and that would be Gemini, who in week 6 is still active in our smaller pool, which is a pool we started out with. The larger pool was sort of an afterthought. Gemini is still in that pool with no loss. Grok did a little better in the larger pool. It lasted until week 5, and Chat was out after week 4, and Gemini in that smaller pool was actually out in week 3. So Grok did a little better than the other 2 agents in the larger pool, but Gemini certainly is still active in the smaller pool, and allows us to continue here. So we are left with 1 agent, as I mentioned, Gemini, in the smaller pool. So before we get into Gemini's picks for week 6, let's talk a little bit about Grok here, because even though they are eliminated, they offered a couple of things. They offered a few ideas going forward to allow us to continue. They said that they would still make selections as if they were still in the pool, and we're going to consider that because, as I say, once all our agents are eliminated, there may be no reason to continue. We are out of all of the pools. They also offered selections. They are also offered in the beginning of this an 18-week strategy. And they said that is for future pools next year. Should we do this again next year? Should there be any interest that they might, they offer to put together an 18-week strategy. It still might be worth doing that for the remainder weeks of the season for those of you who are still in your pools, to sort of give you a long-term look at what teams have games that might be good opportunities for selections in those future weeks. And of course, all of this is dependent upon what teams you've already picked. So that is a factor, factor into this. So let's get down to the other thing Grock mentioned was that they would continue into a sort of their own mock pool as if they were still in this, and may or may want to do that. But they congratulated themselves for outlasting in the larger pool more than 17,000 participants, because that's how many that were eliminated before this last week. And they said that outlasting 17,000 plus participants and 2 artificial intelligence models is no joke. And they're offering to dig into what worked and to, as they say, prepare crushing it for next time and next year. So having said that, Gemini said that here's the teams that Gemini has already picked, and we're in the smaller pool. It's a double elimination, so they can have they can pick a team that loses. They'll still be in the pool after the second pick. A team that loses, of course, they'll be out. So in week 1, they picked the Jaguars. In week 2, the Cowboys. Week 3, the Buccaneers. Week 4, the Bills. And week 5, the Lions. So the Lions, excuse me. So those are teams which are not available here to pick, in week 6. So they're saying the best pick for week 6 remains the Green Bay Packers. It's the safest and most strategically sound play, giving our limited options, although I think we still have some pretty good options. And they're playing the Cincinnati Bengals. They're massive favorites, a money line of -4, currently, I guess a -14.5 point favorite, and a money line of 13.50. I wasn't exactly sure how that worked. I had to look that up here a few minutes ago. But in effect, it says, I guess you have to bet $1,350 to win $100 if you're going to bet on Green Bay. So they are a massive favorite. Their win probability, or that the large spread suggests a win probability of over 90%. And the betting odds, which shows that money line, apparently implies a win probability of 93% or higher. Again, I'm not sure how that money line converted to a win probability, but you statisticians out there could probably figure that out. The rationale, the Penguins are struggling badly, losing 3 straight and being outscored 113-37 in that span. Their offense is severely hampered, especially with star quarterback Joe Burrow reportedly out. Home field, they're coming off a bye week, and they're playing in Lambeau, which also gives them a significant advantage. And as far as future value is concerned, the Packers are not projected to have many other games with this high win probability for the rest of the season, making this a good spot to use them and save high value teams for later. So there you go. We're going to enter for Gemini into our smaller pool. We're going to enter Green Bay. a couple of other comments for whatever they're worth. I noticed that going through these, as I mentioned, I think in a couple of these videos, that one gets warned about taking these artificial intelligence answers when you ask them questions totally for granted. And again, I've used the example that doing medical research sometimes, or I guess even like legal research, or maybe any research, they'll come up with sites of articles or research or whatever that are non-existent, and so you have to be careful with what you're getting from the models. I noticed that at least two of them, and maybe all three of them, if I went back to check in detail, that they sometimes lose track of the picks that they've made, so they try to pick a team again. And the second thing is that during each week of their selections, they give alternative picks or reasons that they didn't take other teams in this. And sometimes the sightings of those teams and their opponents are incorrect. For example, they might say the Ravens against the Browns this week. The Ravens have a quarterback issue, and so we're not selecting that team. When the Ravens might be playing the Steelers, for example. So anyway, we're trying to keep on top of that, and hopefully this will provide you with, again, some help in making your selections. This week we did not give any alternative picks with Gemini because for that exact fact that I wasn't aware that there are alternatives and reasons for not picking those alternatives, that they were picking teams, were picking games that were non-existent. So I don't know how much faith we have in this. My hope originally was that we would go into, we would survive with these models, at least in the pool where we have we're able to have two losses, 8, 9, 10 weeks. Unless Gemini hangs in here, that looks like it's not going to happen. So we're going to have to make some kind of decision on if Gemini is eliminated, where we go from here. So anyway, thank you very much for watching this. Again, please like and subscribe, and hopefully Gemini will continue to pick winners and be able to go pretty deep into this two-loss pool. Thank you, and have a good and successful weekend in your own survivor pools.